First contact and unlikely alliance. The vastness of space stretched before Captain Ilara Chen as she stood on the bridge of the Earth exploration vessel Horizon. Beyond the viewport, the uncharted Epsilon sector glowed with distant stars and nebulae, a frontier still largely unexplored by humanity. After the Galactic Council had finally granted Earth exploration rights, Ilara's mission was clear: map resources, establish outposts, and expand human presence in the galaxy. Status report, Ilara said, turning to her first officer. Commander Jackson looked up from his console. All systems nominal, Captain. We're approaching the third planet in the Epsilon 9 system. Initial scans show rich mineral deposits and a breathable atmosphere. Ilara nodded. Earth needed these resources desperately. After centuries of depletion, their homeworld depended on extraplanetary mining to sustain its massive population. Most Council species viewed humans with suspicion. Creatures from a Deathworld with high gravity, extreme weather patterns, and predators that would terrify most aliens. Humans had evolved to survive conditions that would kill most sentient species, and that made the Council nervous. Take us into orbit, Ilara ordered. Prepare a landing team. The Horizon glided silently through space, its advanced engines barely making a whisper. As they approached the planet, a rocky world with sparse vegetation and towering mountain ranges, the sensors suddenly blared an alert. Captain, called Lieutenant Rivera from the sensor station. We've got a ship on scanners. It's not in our database. Ilara frowned. Show me. The main screen displayed a vessel approximately 2/3 the size of the Horizon. Its design was unfamiliar, angular with what appeared to be armored plating covering most of its hull. Weapon ports were clearly visible, though not powered. Are they responding to hails? Negative, Captain. We've tried all standard frequencies. Ilara considered her options. First contact situations were always delicate, especially when dealing with unknown species. Keep trying. Maintain our course, but power shields to 50%. I don't want to appear threatening, but I won't leave us exposed. For nearly 20 minutes, the Horizon continued its approach while attempting communication. The alien vessel remained silent, matching their orbit around the planet. Captain, Rivera said suddenly, they're powering up engines. They're heading straight toward us. Shields to maximum. Ilara commanded. Weapons on standby. The crew braced for impact, but instead of ramming the Horizon, the alien vessel pulled alongside, maintaining a parallel course, less than a kilometer away. They're hailing us, Rivera announced, surprise evident in her voice. On screen, Ilara ordered, straightening her uniform. The view screen flickered to life, revealing a bridge not unlike their own. In the center stood a being unlike any Ilara had encountered before. Nearly 7 feet tall with a hardened exoskeleton covering its humanoid form, 4 arms positioned symmetrically around its torso, and compound eyes that gleamed with intelligence. When it spoke, a series of clicks and whistles emerged, instantly translated by the ship's computer. Human vessel, this is Commander Zak of the Vazaki exploration ship Stone Claw. You are trespassing in territory claimed by the Vazaki hegemony. Ilara stepped forward. I am Captain Ilara Chen of the Earth exploration vessel Horizon. We were unaware of any territorial claims in this system. According to Galactic Council records, this sector remains unclaimed. The alien, Zak, chittered something that didn't translate. The Council does not recognize our claims because they fear us. As they fear you, human. Ilara's eyes narrowed. You know of humans. We know you come from a Deathworld, as do we. The Vazaki evolved on a planet with 3 times standard gravity, atmospheric toxins, and predators that would devour most Council species in seconds. We have studied your kind from afar. You are similar. The bridge crew exchanged glances. Another Deathworld species. The Council classified such worlds as extreme hazard environments, planets where evolution took a harsh and unforgiving path. Species from these worlds tended to be stronger, faster, and more resilient than others, traits that made the rest of the galaxy wary. "I propose a meeting," Ilara said, "face to face on the planet below. We can discuss our respective claims peacefully." Commander Zak was silent for a moment before responding. "Agreed. 2 representatives each. No weapons. We will transmit coordinates for a suitable landing zone." The transmission ended abruptly. "Are you sure about this, Captain?" Jackson asked, concern evident in his voice. Ilara nodded. "We need those resources, and conflict won't help either side. If they're from a death world like Earth, they might understand us better than most species we've encountered." 6 hours later, Ilara stood with her chief science officer, Dr. Malik, on the planet's surface. The air was thin but breathable, with a higher oxygen content than Earth's. Rocky highlands surrounded the flat valley where their shuttle had landed. The landscape reminded Ilara of the Martian colonies where she trained, beautiful in its stark simplicity. The Vazaki shuttle landed 100 meters away, its design more angular and reinforced than human craft. Commander Zak emerged with another Vazaki, both moving with surprising grace despite their size and apparent weight. They wore no environmental suits. Like humans, they could adapt to various planetary conditions. "Captain Chen," Zak said as they approached, the translator unit on Ilara's belt converting the clicks and whistles to English. "This is Chief Biologist Sira." "Commander Zak," Ilara nodded respectfully. "This is Dr. Malik, our science officer." Up close, the Vazaki were even more impressive. Their exoskeletons had a bluish sheen, with patterns that might indicate rank or lineage. The 4 arms ended in hands with 3 fingers each, and their compound eyes seemed to take in everything at once. "Your ship," Zak began. "It uses plasma fusion technology." "Yes," Ilara replied, surprised by the direct question. "Horizon-class vessels are equipped with 3rd-generation fusion drives." "Efficient," Zak commented. "The Council refuses to share such technology with us. They claim we would use it for weapons. The Council has been cautious with humanity as well," Ilara admitted. "It took us 50 years to gain exploration rights in this sector." Zak made a sound that might have been a laugh. 50. They made us wait nearly a century. They fear what they do not understand. Species that evolved to survive conditions they consider impossible. As they walked across the rocky terrain, discussing their respective planets and societies, Ilara was struck by the similarities between humans and Vazaki. Both species valued resilience and adaptability. Both had faced extinction-level challenges on their homeworlds and survived through innovation and determination. "Your people build underwater cities?" Zak asked, fascinated by Dr. Malik's description of Earth. "Several," Malik confirmed. "The Pacific and Atlantic megacities house over 50 million humans each." "Remarkable," said Sira, speaking for the first time. "We cannot survive long underwater. Our exoskeletons are too dense. But you can withstand radiation levels that would kill humans," Malik noted, consulting his scanner. "Your biological structure is fascinating." As they shared information, the initial tension gradually dissolved. They found a flat outcropping of rock and sat in a circle, continuing their exchange. Zak explained that the Vazaki had only achieved spaceflight a century before humans, despite being an older species. Their technological development had been hampered by constant warfare between regional powers on their homeworld. "We united only when the first Council ships arrived," Zak explained. "We realized we needed to present a unified front to the galaxy." Similar to Earth's response, Ilara noted. First Contact Day became the turning point for human cooperation. Their discussion was interrupted when both their communication devices activated simultaneously. Urgent messages from their respective ships. "Captain, we're detecting massive energy readings from deep space," Jackson's voice reported. "Like nothing we've ever seen before." Zak was receiving similar information from the Stoneclaw. The commander turned to Ilara, compound eyes narrowing. "You're doing "No," Ilara said firmly. "We have nothing that could generate readings like that." They quickly returned to their shuttles and ascended back to their orbiting vessels. Once aboard the Horizon, Ilara rushed to the bridge where her crew was monitoring the mysterious energy signature. "It appeared suddenly, Captain," Rivera explained, pointing to the sensor display. "Just beyond the system's heliobos. It's massive, at least 20 times larger than either of our ships." "The Vazaki are hailing us," Jackson reported. Zach's image appeared on screen. "Captain Chen, my science team has analyzed the energy signature. It matches no known technology. Not Council, not Vazaki, not human." "Same here," Ilara confirmed. "Whatever it is, it's moving toward this system. Slowly, but deliberately." There was a pause before Zach spoke again. "I propose cooperation. This unknown entity may pose a threat to both our missions." Ilara didn't hesitate. "Agreed. 2 Deathworld species might have a better chance together than separately." "My thoughts exactly," Zach replied. "Permission to dock with your vessel to coordinate our response." "Granted," Ilara said. "We'll prepare a joint operation plan." As the 2 ships maneuvered to connect, Ilara couldn't help but reflect on the irony. 2 species, evolved on different Deathworlds, brought together by a potential threat from the depths of space. The Council had always feared what Deathworld species might do if they joined forces. Now they were about to find out. The massive energy signature continued its approach, silent and inexorable. Whatever was coming, humanity and Vazaki would face it together. A partnership forged in the harsh crucibles of their respective homeworlds and tempered by the vast, unforgiving expanse of space. Neither captain knew that what approached would test not only their alliance, but the survival instincts that had defined their evolution. A challenge that would shock the entire galaxy. The cosmic threat and united defense. 3 days after the Horizon and Stoneclaw had docked, the mysterious entity finally came within visual range. The crew of both ships gathered on the Horizon's expansive bridge, staring at the main viewer in stunned silence. "By the ancestral hives," whispered Sira, the Vazaki biologist. What they were seeing defied conventional spacecraft design. A massive structure, easily 20 kilometers across, moved through space with deliberate purpose. It resembled nothing so much as a gigantic metallic jellyfish. A central spherical core was surrounded by tendrils or appendages that undulated slowly, seemingly drawing in ambient energy from the surrounding space. Its surface was dark, absorbing rather than reflecting light, making it appear as a void moving against the stars. "Are we receiving any response to hails?" Ilara asked, breaking the awed silence. "Negative, Captain," Rivera replied. "We've tried all frequencies, all known communication protocols. Nothing." Commander Zach moved closer to the display, compound eyes focused intently on the entity. "Look at the energy pattern. It's feeding." Dr. Malik enhanced the image, focusing sensors on one of the appendages. "He's right. Those tendrils are harvesting hydrogen and trace elements from space itself. Incredibly efficient." But for what purpose? Ilara wondered aloud. The joint human-Vazaki team had spent the past days sharing information, comparing technologies, and preparing for potential first contact. What had begun as wary cooperation had quickly evolved into genuine collaboration. Humans excelled at adaptive thinking and creative problem-solving, while the Vazaki brought unparalleled expertise in material science and defensive systems. "It's changing course," Jackson reported suddenly, moving toward the inner system. Ilara and Zach exchanged glances. Both knew what that meant. The entity was heading toward the resource-rich planets, including the one they had both claimed. "Launch probe Delta," Ilara ordered. "Let's get closer readings without risking our ships." The probe, enhanced with Vazaki sensor technology, streaked toward the entity, transmitting data in real time. For 30 minutes, they watched as it approached the massive structure. "Energy readings are off the charts," Dr. Malik reported. That thing is generating more power than a small star. Suddenly, the probe's transmission flickered. One of the entity's tendrils had moved, faster than they thought possible, engulfing the probe. The transmission went dead. It consumed our probe, Rivera said, disbelief in her voice. Not consumed, corrected Varric, the Vazaki chief engineer who had joined them on the bridge. Absorbed, integrated. Before anyone could respond, the entity accelerated dramatically, now moving toward the resource planet at alarming speed. It's definitely heading for the same planet we were surveying, Jackson confirmed. Sack's exoskeleton clicked as he turned to Ilara. Whatever that thing is, it wants the same resources we do. And it's not asking permission. Prepare for emergency departure, Ilara commanded. We need to reach the planet before it does. The docking clamps released, and both ships moved away from each other, engines powering up to maximum. Captain, Dr. Malik called, his voice tense. I've analyzed the probe's final transmission. That entity, it's not just harvesting energy and matter, it's transforming them. The molecular patterns suggest it's converting everything it absorbs into more of itself. Self-replication, Ilara asked, alarmed. On a massive scale, Malik confirmed. If it reaches a resource-rich planet, he didn't need to finish. Everyone understood the implications. The race to the planet was tense. Both the Horizon and Stoneclaw pushed their engines beyond recommended parameters, arriving in orbit just hours before the entity would reach the system. It's releasing smaller components, Rivera reported, monitoring the long-range sensors. Hundreds of them, like drones or satellites. On the view screen, they watched as the entity spawned smaller versions of itself, each about the size of a shuttle. These smaller units began spreading out, heading toward different planets and moons in the system. It's not just targeting our planet, Sack observed from the Stoneclaw, still in communication with the Horizon. It's harvesting the entire system. Ilara made a decision. We need to understand what we're dealing with. Commander Sack, I propose a joint mission. One ship to defend the planet, one to gather intelligence on the entity. Agreed, Sack replied without hesitation. The Stoneclaw has superior defensive capabilities. We will protect the planet. Your ship has better research equipment. Learn what you can about our enemy. As the Vazaki vessel moved into position around the planet, deploying advanced shield technology to create a protective barrier, the Horizon took a more dangerous course, heading directly toward the approaching entity. Maintain distance, Ilara instructed as they approached the massive structure. Full sensor sweep. I want to know everything about this thing. For hours, they circled the entity, gathering data, observing its behavior. The central core remained impenetrable to their scans, but they learned that the tendrils served multiple functions: harvesting, defense, propulsion, and possibly communication. Captain, Dr. Malik said urgently, looking up from his station. I've cross-referenced our findings with ancient xenorchaeological records in our database. There are similarities to artifacts discovered on abandoned worlds in the Sagittarius Arm, worlds stripped of resources. Are you saying this thing has done this before? Ilara asked. I believe so, and based on the dating of those artifacts. For millions of years. The implications were staggering. They weren't facing a ship or even a species. They were facing what amounted to a cosmic harvesting mechanism, ancient beyond imagining. We need to communicate with the Stoneclaw, Ilara decided. They need to know what. Her words were cut short as the ship suddenly shuddered violently. We're caught in some kind of tractor beam, Jackson shouted. It's pulling us in. One of the entity's tendrils had extended with shocking speed, enveloping the Horizon in energy that paralyzed their engines and began drawing them toward the central core. Emergency power to shields. Ilara ordered. Rotate shield frequencies. The human crew worked frantically, but nothing broke the entity's hold. As they were pulled closer, they could see the surface of the central core opening like a massive maw. The Stoneclaw is hailing us, Rivera reported. They can't help us, Ilara responded grimly. They need to protect the planet. But Sak's image appeared on screen anyway. We've analyzed your situation, Captain Chen. Standard approaches won't work against this entity. We've noticed, Ilara replied dryly, despite the danger. But, Sak continued, both our species evolved on Deathworlds. We survived by adapting, by turning threats into advantages. Understanding dawned on Ilara's face. You're suggesting we let it take us. Precisely. Our sensors indicate the entity doesn't destroy what it absorbs. It processes and integrates. If your ship reaches the core, we could learn how it works from the inside. Ilara finished. It's incredibly risky. As my ancestors would say, Sak responded. The most dangerous path often leads to survival. Ilara looked around at her crew, saw the determination in their eyes. Humans had always pushed boundaries, had always taken risks that other species considered foolhardy. We'll do it, she decided, but we'll need a way out afterward. Already working on that, Sak assured her. While you gather intelligence from inside, we'll develop a disruption field based on your findings. Deathworld ingenuity, Captain Chen. As the horizon was pulled inexorably toward the entity's core, Ilara addressed her crew. This is what humans do best. We turn impossible situations into opportunities. Everyone to emergency stations. Prepare for integration. The ship entered the maw of the entity amid crackling energy discharges. For several terrifying moments, systems fluctuated wildly before stabilizing. When the chaos subsided, they found themselves inside a vast chamber, surrounded by technologies beyond anything they had ever seen. We're inside, Ilara breathed, and still intact. Captain, Rivera called, excitement in her voice despite their predicament. I'm detecting a network, like a central nervous system throughout the entity. We can access it through our computers. Do it, Ilara ordered, but carefully. We don't want to trigger any defense mechanisms. Dr. Malik and Rivera worked feverishly, interfacing human technology with the ancient system. Gradually, information began flowing into their computers, data so vast and complex it would take years to fully analyze. It's artificial, Malik announced after an hour of examination, but not like any AI we've encountered. This entity was created by a species that vanished millions of years ago. It's been operating autonomously all this time, harvesting resources to replicate itself across multiple galaxies. Is it sentient? Ilara asked. In a way, Malik replied. But its programming is single-minded. Expand, harvest, replicate. It doesn't recognize other life forms as anything but resources or obstacles. Then reasoning with it is impossible, Ilara concluded. We need to stop it. Further analysis revealed that the entity operated on quantum principles, with its core serving as both brain and power source. Disrupting that core would disable the entire structure. We found a vulnerability, Ilara informed Sak via a tenuous communication link they had established. The quantum resonance frequency that binds the entity's core. If we can generate a counter-frequency, we can shatter it from within. Sak finished. The stone claw can generate that frequency from outside while you trigger it internally. The plan was dangerous, potentially suicidal. The Horizon would need to modify its engines to create the counter-frequency while positioned dangerously close to the entity's core. Meanwhile, the stone claw would coordinate an external attack precisely synchronized with their internal disruption. If our timing is off by even milliseconds, Malik warned, the feedback could destroy both our ships along with the entity. Then we won't be off, Ilara said simply. The modifications took hours, precious time during which the entity continued harvesting the system's outer planets. Smaller drones attempted to breach the Vazaki shield protecting the resource planet, but the stone claw held firm. Finally, everything was ready. The Horizon positioned itself near what they had identified as the quantum core, a swirling vortex of energy at the entity's center. All personnel secure for extreme turbulence, Ilara ordered. Engine modifications online. Targeting system locked on the core. The countdown began. In perfect synchronization, The horizon and stone claw generated the counter-frequency from inside and outside the entity. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. The core began to fluctuate wildly, energy discharges arcing in all directions. The horizon rocked violently as systems overloaded and failed. "Hull breach on Deck 7, Jackson shouted over the chaos. "Power fluctuations throughout the ship. Maintain the frequency," Ilara commanded, gripping her chair as the bridge shuddered around her. Just a few more seconds. Around them, the entity's internal structure began to fracture. Massive fissures appeared in the walls of the chamber, revealing the void of space beyond. The counter-frequency was working, tearing the ancient harvester apart from inside and out. "Emergency thrusters," Ilara ordered as a massive rupture opened nearby. "Get us out of here." Using the last of their power reserves, the horizon maneuvered toward the opening, barely escaping as the entity's core collapsed in on itself. The resulting quantum implosion created a shockwave that propelled them clear of the disintegrating structure. When they regained control, they found themselves drifting in open space, systems damaged but repairable. In the distance, the stone claw approached, equally battered but intact. "Captain Chen," Sack's voice came through with static. "It seems our Deathworld heritage serves us well once again." Ilara smiled despite the exhaustion. Adaptation and survival, the lessons of Earth and Vazik both. As their ships limped back to the resource planet, the remains of the entity scattered across space, gradually becoming inert without its quantum core to animate them. The smaller harvester units had collapsed when the main entity was destroyed, leaving the system intact. 3 days later, representatives from the Galactic Council arrived, drawn by reports of the strange entity and the unprecedented cooperation between humans and Vazaki. "You collaborated with humans?" asked the council representative, a tall, willowy being from a garden world who couldn't conceal his discomfort. "2 Deathworld species working together." "We did more than collaborate," Sack replied, standing proudly beside Ilara. "We saved this system, perhaps many systems, from an ancient threat." The council representative seemed uncertain how to process this information. The pairing of Deathworld species had long been one of the council's greatest fears. Yet here was evidence that such an alliance had prevented a catastrophe. "The council will want detailed reports," he finally said, "and discussions about the future of this system." "We've already decided its future," Ilara stated firmly. "A joint human Vazaki outpost. We've signed a treaty." The representative's eyes widened. "That's unprecedented." "So was facing an ancient harvester entity," Sack pointed out. "Perhaps it's time for new precedents." As the council ship departed, Ilara and Sack stood on the observation deck of the newly established outpost, watching the stars. "They'll be watching us closely," Ilara noted. "2 Deathworld species working together terrifies them." "Let them watch," Sack replied. "What they fear most may be the galaxy's greatest strength. Adaptation, resilience, cooperation." Ilara smiled. "The very qualities that define both our species." Beyond the viewport, the vast expanse of space stretched endlessly, filled with unknown wonders and threats. But for the first time, 2 species born of harsh worlds faced that vastness not as competitors, but as allies, an alliance forged in crisis and tempered by shared determination to survive against all odds. The galaxy would never be the same.